Hook. The question nobody. Ernest W. Ree. Round the world today. The United States is over $34 trillion in debt. Japan, over 260% of its GDP. Europe, trillions more. Developing nations, borrowing just to survive. Now here's the uncomfortable mystery. If debt is never fully repaid, if it only grows larger with time, then who is actually being paid? Because in any normal system, someone must be on the other side of the deal. A lender, an owner, a final beneficiary. Yet no one can clearly name them. So tonight, we're going to follow the debt trail slowly, historically, and honestly, and uncover the uncomfortable truth hiding beneath the global financial system. By the end of this video, you may never look at money, taxes, or governments the same way again. Setting the stage, when debt meant esilavai, didn't start as a number on a screen. In ancient civilizations, Sumer Babylon, Rome, debt was physical. If yohulan ti repay, yuloslan, freedom, or family members, debt bondage was common. Entire societies collapsed when debt piled too high. Even back then, leaders noticed a dangerous pattern. When debt concentrates too much power, society breaks. That's why early rulers like Hammurabi regularly forgave debts, not out of kindness but because the system would otherwise destroy itself. Fast forward centuries, and something changed. Debt stopped being personal and started becoming institutional. Origins, the birth of modern DBT. The modern debt system begins in Europe, around the 1600s. Governments needed money for wars. Taxes weren't enough, so they borrowed, but instead of borrowing from wealthy individuals directly, they turned to banks. In 1694, the Bank of England was created with a revolutionary idea. The government would borrow money that the bank created, not saved. This was the birth of sovereign debt as a permanent structure. Here's the key shift. Governments no longer aim to fully repay debt. They aim to roll it over forever. Old debt paid with new debt. Interest layered on top, a system designed not to end. And once this model worked for Britain, it spread everywhere. The rise money from Anotia Shangina comes the trick that changes everything. Banks don't lend existing money, they creer italiano. Through fractional reserve banking, a loan becomes new money the moment it's issued. That means governments borrow money that didn't exist before taxpayers pay interest on it. The principal is often never fully retired, so what is really being repaid? Not the debt itself, only the interest. This creates a mathematical trap. There's more debt than money in the system at all times, which means someone must always lose. And that someone is everyone who earns, saves, and pays taxes. The breaking point when debt becomes UMPAYB with the 20th century. The system hit its first major stress test. World wars exploded government borrowing, gold-backed money. Limited debt growth, so governments removed the limit. In 1971, the U.S. officially abandoned the gold standard. From that moment on, money was backed by nothing but trust. Debt exploded, financial markets ballooned. Governments promised growth would solve everything. But growth slowed. Debt didn't. And here is the breaking point most people miss. When debt grows faster than real economic productivity, repayment becomes theoretical, not real. At that stage, ownership quietly shifts. The fallout. Who owns the world if debt is never repaid? Not. No Slesmer, not governments, not voters. Ownership flows to whoever controls credit creation, interest collection, debt refinancing. That means financial institutions, bondholders, and central banking systems, not in a conspiracy movie sense, but in a structural one. Governments become managers, not owners. Citizens become revenue streams, not stakeholders. And the scariest part, no single person is fully in control. The system owns itself. Failed fixes. Why nothing solves IT. Every solution we hear today has been tried before. Shrinks economies, increases debt ratios. Stimulus, temporary relief, permanent debt. Inflation, reduces real debt value but destroys purchasing power. Growth promises rarely outpace compound interest. Even debt forgiveness simply resets the cycle. Because the core issue isn't spending, it's money creation tied to interest-based debt. As long as money enters the system as debt, someone must always owe more than exists. Modern parallels history repeating in real time. Look around today. Housing prices rising faster than wages, governments borrowing to pay interest, central banks printing trillions during crises, wealth concentrating at the top. These aren't random failures. They're features of a debt-based system reaching maturity, and history shows what happens next. Currency debasement, social unrest, system reset. Because people are evil, but because math is unforgiving. 3 clear THEAYs. Takeaway number 1. Debt that never gets repaid is not a loan, it's a control mechanism. Takeaway number 2. You don't need secret meetings or villains. Incentives alone shape outcomes. Takeaway number 3. Real ownership belongs to whoever controls money creation, not a warning and a question to Sid WITHD. Most dangerous belief is that this system is permanent. No debt-based monetary system in history has lasted forever. The only question is, does it end quietly or all at once? Call to CTIO on if this video changed how you see money even slightly. Subscribe to Credit Clever, because understanding the system doesn't make you paranoid. It makes you prepared. And the more people who understand how debt really works, the harder it becomes to hide who truly owns the world.